So in this set of videos we've been trying to avoid tenses like the present, the simple past and the future, so as to be able to get it into the language quickly without having to learn whole sets of verb endings and learning which verbs are regular and which are not in the various contexts. We've done this by focusing on the continuous and perfect tenses, but in the end there's no avoiding the tenses which are not formed using auxiliary verbs. However, there are still a few ways left to dodge this issue. One is the use of the immediate future tense rather than the actual future tense. In English, this is formed by saying that something is going to happen. So, for example, I am going to eat rather than I will eat. These do have slightly different meanings, and we'll come back to this later on. The corresponding construction in Guernsey uses a reflexive verb. And so before we can describe how to construct the immediate future tense in Guernsey, we need to say a little bit more about reflexive verbs. At the end of video 15, we said what reflexive verbs were and gave examples like se laver, to wash oneself. The word se in this context means oneself. But if we want to say I wash myself or she washes herself, we need to know the words for myself, herself and so on. These are known as the reflexive pronouns. They are very simple to remember since they are all se, apart from the first person singular where the s of se is replaced by an m, and the second person singular where the s is replaced by a t. So here are some examples. Je me lave.
Je me lave. Je me lave.
Je me lave, I wash myself. Tu te rases.
Tu te rases. Tu te rases.
Tu te rases, you shave yourself. Il se brûle.
Il se brûle.
Il se brûle.
Il se brûle, he burns himself. Assez bien.
Assez bien.
Assez bien.
Assez bien, she blames herself. Nous c'est muche.
Nous c'est muche.
Nous c'est muche.
Nous c'est muche, we hide ourselves. Vous c'est copaiz.
Vous c'est copaiz.
Vous c'est copaiz.
Vous c'est copaiz, you cut yourself or you cut yourselves. Il se méfie.
Il se méfie.
Il se méfie.
Il se méfie, they take care or take care of themselves. The verb endings are as for non-reflexive verbs. Here we're using the present tense, but we won't describe how we got the various verb endings. Our only aim here is to illustrate how the reflexive verbs are used. Mais with je, te with tu, and se with all the other cases. As so happens in Guernsey, abbreviated forms are used in almost all situations, with mais replaced by m apostrophe, te replaced by t apostrophe, and se replaced by s apostrophe. So in practice we say, je m'assieds, I sit down.
Monsieur.
Monsieur.
Je m'assieds, I sit down. Tu t'avaches.
Tu t'avaches.
Tu t'avaches.
Tu t'avaches, you hurry up. Il stramp.
Il stramp.
Il stramp.
Il stramp, he misjudges. Ospioind.
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 Ospioind, she complains. Nous séville.
Nous séville.
Nous séville.
Nous séville, we wake up. Vous copaiz.
Vous copaiz.
Vous copaiz.
Vous copaiz, you escape. Ispiointouche.
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 Ispiointouche, they moan. Notice that we have not put the reflexive pronouns into the English translations, since typically they will not be used in the standard English form. While we are talking about reflexive verbs, recall that in video 15 we explained that reflexive verbs use the auxiliary verb ate in constructing the past perfect tense, although we didn't give any examples. So here we'll give a couple of examples. Tu t'es assis sur le fossé.
Tu t'es assis sur le fossé.
Tu t'es assis sur le fossé.
Tu t'es assis sur le fossé, you have sat down on the hedge. Il s'est écapé de l'école.
Ise ekapaid lekol.
Ise ekapaid lekol.
Ise ekapaid lekol, he has escaped from school. Notice that the relevant reflexive pronouns occurs before the auxiliary verb. So having understood how reflexive pronouns are used in general, we can now go on to discuss in more detail the particular reflexive pronoun son alai, which means to go off or to go away. The non-reflexive form alai simply means to go, although the distinction between them is not always clear. In any case, the present tense of son alai is je m'en vais.
Je m'en vais.
Je m'en vais.
Je m'en vais, I am going. Tu t'en vas.
Tu t'en vas.
Tu t'en vas.
Tu t'en vas, you are going. Il s'en va.
Il s'en va.
Il s'en va.
Il s'en va, he is going. Elle s'en va.
Elle s'en va.
Elle s'en va.
Elle s'en va, she is going. Nous s'en va.
Nous s'en va.
Nous s'en va.
Nous s'en va, we are going. Vous s'en allez.
Vous s'en allez.
Vous s'en allez.
Vous s'en allez, you are going. Ils s'en vont.
Il s'en va.
Il s'en va.
Ils s'en vont, they are going. Just as with auxiliary verbs, which we use to construct the continuous tenses, once we know the present tense of son allez, we can construct the immediate future tense for any verb, as long as we know the infinitive of that verb. But before we look at this, let's give some examples of the straightforward use of son allez. Je m'en vais à la ville.
Je m'en vais à la ville.
Je m'en vais à la ville.
Je m'en vais à la ville, I'm going to town. Tu t'en vas si ton frère.
Tu t'en vas si ton frère.
Tu t'en vas si ton frère.
Tu t'en vas si ton frère, you're going to your brother's place. Il s'en va dans 5 minutes.
Il s'en va dans 5 minutes.
Il s'en va dans 5 minutes.
Il s'en va dans 5 minutes. He is going in a few minutes. After all of these preliminaries, we are now in a position to describe the immediate future tense. In fact, the procedure is similar to that carried out in English, namely we add the infinitive to the present tense of son allez. So to say he is going to eat, one says il s'en va manger. Manger being the infinitive to eat. So here are some more examples. Je m'en vais boire.
Je m'en vais boire.
Je m'en vais boire.
Je m'en vais boire, I am going to drink. Tu t'en vas bougier.
Tu t'en vas bougier.
Tu t'en vas bougier.
Tu t'en vas bougier, you are going to move. Il s'en va amodai.
Il s'en va à Mondaille.
Il s'en va à Mondaille.
Il s'en va amodai, he is going to improve. Elle s'en va che.
Elle s'en va che.
Elle s'en va che.
Elle s'en va che, she is going to fall. Nous s'en va décapai.
Nous s'en va décapai.
Nous s'en va décapai.
Nous s'en va décapai, we are going to beat it. Vous s'en allez chitai.
Vous s'en allez chitai.
Vous s'en allez chitai.
Vous s'en allez chitai, you are going to leave. Il s'en va purai.
Il s'en va purai.
Il s'en va purai.
Il s'en va purai, they are going to cry. So this tense is widely used instead of the future tense, frequently just because those learning the language, or those who know it but are a bit rusty, find it much easier to use, since it only requires knowledge of the infinitive. Of course, in English, it isn't any easier to use in this form, since the future tense uses the auxiliary verb will, and it too requires only knowledge of the infinitive. As we have already mentioned, the immediate future tense and the simple future tense convey different meanings. I am going to eat suggests eating will take place almost immediately, whereas I will eat only means at some indeterminate time in the future. By specifying a time, one can make them mean almost the same thing. There is little to distinguish between I am going to eat at 8 o'clock and I will eat at 8 o'clock. And in this case, the immediate future can really be used instead of the future tense. We'd also like to mention a method which can be used to bypass the imperfect tense in certain cases. If an action regularly took place in the past, we could use the imperfect tense, but we can also say used to, meaning it was customary or we were accustomed to. The relevant verb here is sulai, but used in the imperfect tense, with the endings ais for je and tu, ait for i, a and nous, aites for vous, and aient for the plural e, as we mentioned in video 11. The relevant form of sulai is then followed by the infinitive of the verb we wish to use. So here are some examples. Sulai alai si matat toutes les semaines.
Sule alai si matat toutes les semaines.
Sule alai si matat toutes les semaines.
Sulai alai si matat toutes les semaines. I used to go to my aunt's place every week. Tu sulai kmoshie to travar à 9 heures.
Tu sulai kmoshie to travail à 9 heures.
Tu sulai commencier ton travail à 9 heures.
Tu sulai kmoshie to travar à 9 heures. You used to start work at 9 o'clock. Il sulai manger so déjeuner d'ouvre sa mère.
Il sulai manger son déjeuner d'ouvre sa mère.
Il sulai manger son déjeuner d'ouvre sa mère.
Il sulai manger so déjeuner d'ouvre sa mère. He used to eat his breakfast with his mother. A sulai veni I shine tous les jours.
A sulai veni shine tous les jours.
Sulai venir isha tous les jours.
A sulai veni shine tous les jours. She used to come here every day. Nous sulai muraille do chute maison là.
Nous sulai demeurai do chute maison là.
Nous sulai demeurai dans chute maison là.
Nous sulai muraille do chute maison là. We used to live in that house. Vous sulai dormi do chute chab I shine.
Vous sulai dormi do chute chab shai.
Vous sulai dormir dans chute chab ishai.
Vous sulai dormi do chute chab I shine. You used to sleep in this bedroom. Il sulai travailler pour m'nank.
Il sulai travailler pour m'nank.
Il sulai travailler pour m'nank.
Il sulai travailler pour m'nank. They used to work for my uncle. Okay, so we're going to end with a short chat about ways of describing the very recent past or the very near future. So just as we use going to describe the immediate future, we can also use other forms of words to describe the very recent past or the very near future. These forms exist both in English and in Guernsey. For the very recent past, we can say in English, I've just come from. For example, I've just come from talking with him, or I've just come from watering the flowers. We can use the same construction in Guernsey. So here are a few examples. Je viens dérouser les fleurs.
Je viens dérouser les fleurs.
Je viens dérouser les fleurs.
Je viens dérouser les fleurs. I've just come from watering the flowers. Il vient d'accater du lait.
Il vient d'accater du lait.
Il vient d'accater du lait.
Il vient d'accater du lait. He's just come from buying some milk. Notice that in English we use a perfect tense, I have come, as well as inserting the adverb just, whereas in Guernsey we use a present tense and we don't need to include just. Avio det visai dov mes ozone.
Avio det visai dov mes ozone.
Avio de devisai dov mes ozone.
Avio det visai dov mes ozone. She's just come from talking to Mr. Ozan. Ivion de trimai lojan.
Ivion de trimai lojan.
Ivion de trimai lojan.
Ivion de trimai lojan. They've just come from fixing the engine. For the very near future, we can say in English about to or on the point of. For example, I'm about to start, or you are on the point of leaving. So in Guernsey we use the on the point of form followed by an infinitive. Si sur le point de décider.
Si sur le point de décider.
Si sur le point de décider.
Si sur le point de décider, I'm about to decide. Alte sur le point de commencer.
Alte sur le point de commencer.
Elle était sur le point de commencer.
Elle était sur le point de commencer. She was on the point of starting. Il était sur le point de faire du bruit.
Il était sur le point de faire du bruit.
Il était sur le point de faire du bruit.
Il était sur le point de faire du bruit. They were on the point of making trouble.